Two of them. Okay, good. Give me one and you stay with the other. I want us to go to a fabricating shop. Let's look at our truck outside there, our gospel truck outside there. Every piece in that truck, every piece of metal in that truck existed in single form, right? It wasn't like that. It was brought by a pickup or in a big truck, but it was single pieces of metal. And it was brought to a fabricator, or we call them welders. The welder has gas cylinders or welding gas, which is in big cylinders. And he has a cable, a long cable that is connected to the gas cylinder, that he holds at the end, right? It is this small gadget that he holds that is sharp pointed like this, right? You remember? You can see them? When you go to them, the gas cylinder has a lot of gas. It has power to weld. I've never welded. It can produce a lot of fire. So he lights up this area. He takes his matchbox and he lights up this, and then it goes, poof, a flame comes out. All right? What does he do? He reduces, there's a button here, there's a control point here. He reduces the flame into direct flame, blue flame. When that blue flame when that flame that was is reduced into blue flame, it can connect any piece of metal to another. And then it takes up a welding rod, and two separate metals will be welded together by that small blue flame. When it is all directions, big flame, it doesn't have any effect. It is faith that narrows, faith in God's ability. It is your faith and my faith in God's ability and God's power that narrows my flame of prayer to become effective before God. What did I just say? Are you getting it? Anybody can pray, but if you want effectiveness, then those many words must be narrowed down by faith, come on, and directed into a spot. When that flame connects two spots on a metal, two pieces of a metal, you cannot tear it apart. They are permanently what? Connected. Because a fabricator or a welder narrowed the flame, and it became a very sharp, hot flame that can connect two huge pieces of metal permanently. I want to ask you a question. Is your prayer zoomed or controlled to a level of becoming effective in believing God, trusting God, His power and His ability to do it for you? If it is not narrowed down, it will be noise. But if that flame is narrowed down, I wish I could have. I have my gas cylinders. I brought them from my village the other day. I have my gas cylinders down there. If it was not that the person who does it is Ibarakatu, who is the welder, I discovered is Ibarakatu. I would have brought him here with those gas cylinders today and told them to turn them on. And it joins two pieces of metal. But each one of you sits on a piece of metal, or your bed is metallic, or your house has metals, your windows and your doors are metallic, and they were all separate pieces of metal, and they were joined together by a what? By a welding rod that was flame, that was narrowed down. Look at your neighbor and tell them, narrow your prayer to something that you are faithful. When you go to God, don't go with, I know, nyene joy wewe guy. Najuangaga wewe ni Mungu wa Efraimu, na hata ulikuwa na Moses. Na ukitaka unaweza kuwa na mimi. I forgot that people who don't know that. That's Greek. You don't just go to God and start giving him stories. Can you imagine? Can you imagine going to your children every day? When you come home as their father, or as their father, you come home, and they have to spend 10 minutes telling you, you bought me shoes when I was in standard 1. You bought me a nice dress in Christmas when I was in standard 3. You have been buying us ugali every day, every day. There has to come a time you tell them, okay, now you are in high school. If you spend 10 minutes every day reminding me of what I did for you should now give you faith that I will do it again and again. That's why God does miracles. The miracle God did for you on those eggs, you cannot continue testifying of the same miracle, because that, you need to testify of it, yes, but that miracle built faith in you to trust God for tomorrow's miracle. Yesterday's miracle is for today. What God did for you yesterday or last week or last month is to prepare you for the mountain ahead of you. Because you come to tell the devil, my God did it for me in 1974. My God did it for me again in 1992. My God healed me. And the same God who healed my mother, the same God who healed my uncle, the same God who gave me a car will save me from auctioning, from my car being auctioned. He will do it again. That is the testimony that comes from faith. In other words, what God does builds your faith to trust him for the next thing. So what is prayer again? Prayer is what? An expression of what? Of faith in God's ability to do something for you. Now, Pastor Waithaka, I'm coming to you. Let's take Pastor Waithaka to be, you can sit down, son. Let's take Pastor Waithaka to be representing the God that we don't see for today only. Now, Mrs. Alice Wangui Mudumbi, if you needed money urgently, you can stand on your feet. I'll use several people all over the church in this point now. This looks like basic education, elimu ya ngumbaru, but this is what will introduce you and start your faith in God's what? Power and ability to do things for you. If Mrs. Alice Mudumbi has been praying for a house, she has a house already, a house of her own and her family, and she has a description of the house she wants. And one day, while she's walking or driving or visiting a certain area, she sees the house that she has been trusting God for. It is this one. And the Spirit of God tells her, this is the house. Then she asks, how much is it being sold? She's told 150 million. 150 what? In her account, she has 75 million. How many millions is she remaining with? Now, as a child of God, she can run to the bank and try to take a $50 million loan or Kenya shillings loan, or she can say, Lord, if you can show me the house. Oh, come on. Now let me take it deeper. If you promise the house when there was nothing, if you promise me a house and you described how the house will be, then today you bring me to see the what? The house. Then this is proof or confirmation enough that this is my house. She has a right to go back to God and say, now Lord, if you can bring me this far to a point of identifying the house that you have given me, then you are Jehovah Jireh. See, now she is having a what? Not a BBI confirmation. She's not having a BBI conversation. She is now conversing in her mind and in her spirit with God after seeing the what? Now remember, the owners of the house are still inside. They don't even know what you are thinking. They don't know that the house they are sleeping in is yours. There's a divine what? Come on. There's a divine transfer of title deed. The title to the house is no longer theirs. It's yours. And you know that from your spirit. There's a witness in your spirit that this is it. This is the house. And this is the year. Then what will go on in her spirit will be two voices that will be speaking to her, and the third one. The first voice will be the voice of God that says, this is your house. The second voice will be the voice of the devil who tells her, who told you they are selling it? Who told you they are selling it? Leave alone owning it. Who told you they are selling it? And the third one is our own mind. Where will I get the money? And I only have what? 75. I only have 75 million. Then our mind tells her, you may admire the house and even take a picture. After all, God is faithful. He has shown you the house. And if he showed you the house, then you can wait for him to provide the money. And she goes back according to her mind, and she sits down to wait for that house to come to her. Can I assure you, that house will never be hers? Because why did God show her the house? Between her and occupying the house, there's a battle to be won. And that battle is not physical. That battle is not financial. That mountain is prayer. There is now, if God can bring it, that is why Joseph refused to get discouraged and despair when she was in the pit, thrown by his own brothers, after God had shown him how many things? The sun, the moon, and 11 stars. And he's not dummy. He's not dumb. He knew that the sun must be my father, and the moon must be my mother, and 11 stars are my brothers. 1, 2, 3, 4, Simeon, Levi, Reuben. They're 11. When they threw him in the pit to die alone, his mind told him, you are dead. But his spirit told him, no, you are not dead. This is not the end. Why is it not the end? His mind is telling him, you are alone in the pit. And the truth is, he was alone in the pit. But his faith, somebody say faith, his faith told him that he who promised you and showed you the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing before you is faithful. His name is Jehovah. What he says he will do, he will do. Everything written about you is great. There's something in you. That is something inside him that gave him a different information. Is what we call faith in God's ability. And he said, so long as the sun, the moon, and the 11 stars have not done what? Have not bowed. This cannot be the end. The best is yet to come. That is the power of a promise. Now that she has been promised the house by God, whether she was in a prayer meeting or it was a dream or it was a prophet who came and akakula miwa mbele yako akakwambia kuna nyumba mzuri ya yellow, ya blue, ya red, ama uliona vizuri in a vision, an open vision. The moment God brings you into the real house, that is when you have faith in God's power and ability is supposed to lead you in a prayer, in a period of prayer where you are telling God, if you showed it to me, even in the physical, I will live in it. And you reach a point you pray and pray in faith when nothing is happening until God lifts the burden. Come on, somebody. He lifts the what? The burden. He takes the burden of that fervent what? Prayer. Then it changes into thanksgiving. I was praying for 6 things. 6 things. And on the 18th day before 21, God took away the weight of the burden. And I tried to pray for the 6. And that morning the Lord lifted the burden. And when that happens, I know it's time to switch gears into thanksgiving. And by the 21st day, the ice broke. Everything just went ka-ka-ka-ka. The chains broke. After God shows you the house in the spirit and he brings you into the physical, what will make you live in that house is prayer. What of that miracle? What of that miracle? What makes... Come here, my daughter. Yellow, come here. Yeah. Come here, son. I don't know you. Come. Don't worry, come. Just leave them there. I'm sure you are single, right? She's my daughter, she's single. And you can talk to me nicely. Now, hear this. Come on, come up here where people can see you. Now hear me. When this young man needs a wife, and as you worship in the church and you are in the spirit and the spirit tells you, thus saith the Lord God Almighty, she is the one. What will make you marry this girl on the altar is not because you are very smart, and you are. When you say yes to this man, what will make you become his wife and live in the same house happily ever after, if there is, it's not because you are beautiful and he's handsome. No. It's the moment you know this is my husband, the moment you know this is my wife, the amount of prayer you will put in the process of becoming a wife is what will determine how many mountains will have bowed before you in your marriage. But people engage and they go back and start to rurasho. Sahi. And they are believers. They get into the traditional processes of becoming a husband and a wife, and they forget that there are devils that you have to kill in prayer. There are devils that you have to defeat in what? In prayer. In your marriage. So a child of God doesn't get anything without what? Without prayer. Because God doesn't do anything that is not an answer to prayer. Do you want to get married after university? Do you want to get married after you guys working? Start watering your husband before God. In what? Come on. In prayer. Even now when you don't have a child and you know they don't come by miracle when you're not married. You have to be married after 9 months. Sometimes lay your hands on your womb and bless your sons and bless your daughters while you are still very single. Come on. Thank God. Commit them to God. Say the womb, the children my son, do the same thing. Start praying and thanking God for that wife, although you have not seen her. Start praying for your children because you will have children. If you don't want them to be the ones who are selling cocaine and manufacturing it and distributing it in the world, cancel those devils, bind those spirits now, so that even when they come in the real world, you are stand on their head and you don't get discouraged because you dealt with them in prayer. Can I hear any man in the church? You can sit down. Pastor Michael, I'm coming to you now. Now, this is Pastor Michael and everybody. Now, if you were sick and the doctors tell you you have 10 days or 1 month to live, and as a child of God, you knew that the answer to your life is with who? With God. How would you pray? Give me a microphone. How would you pray? There's one there. How would you pray? Here is God in his throne. I am your doctor. I have told you you have 1 month to live. Now, you know the doctor has told you, and I'm the doctor today, not unless God performs a what? A miracle, you have 1 month to live. How will you behave before God in prayer? Now I want to hear. Will you be checking your messages while you're praying? Will you be saying, God, a minute, God, oh, hello, I am in prayer. I will get back to you. Would you be answering your prayer and say, oh, this is urgent, God, I have to take this is from my boss. Yes. Give me some 10 minutes. I'm in prayer and I'll continue. They say, God, how would you pray? Okay, tell me how you would pray. Just explain it to me. Explain to me my word. Would you just joke around? Would you pray? Or would you just wait for death to come? You will pray what? Now use the microphone. I want everybody to hear. How would you pray? Would you even not call Pastor Dan and tell him, Pastor Dan, I have 1 month to live and I cannot afford to die because the dreams that God gave me, the vision that God gave me has not been fulfilled yet. I want you to go with me before what? Come on. Before God in prayer and pray. Would you just pray and go, or would you pray until the answer comes? Answer me through that microphone.
I will pray desperately until the answer comes.
You would even pray with your last breath.
Yes.
Because you know God has the what? Come on, 2 words. The power and the ability to heal you. Even if you die, I was preaching in the United States in a miracle service and people were getting healed. And one person came and asked me, what if you pray for somebody and doesn't get healed? I told him, I am not a healer. I am not a healing. He told me, you are the healing evangelist. I said, no, I'm not the healing evangelist. I'm talking about a healer that I know. And if you put your faith in him, he will do what? He will heal you. He asked me, do you get sick? I said, yes. And why do you get sick and you are a healing evangelist? I said, because. He said, then does that make God a liar? I said, no, he is God. I told him, listen to me. I believe God is a healer to a point whereby even if I was given a microphone before I breathed my last, I will still say God is a what? Is a healer. That faith is what makes heaven move on your behalf. If my brother takes his situation before God with unwavering what? Faith. Unwavering what?
Faith.
Unakunywa mitishamba pande hii, unakunywa kawa ikiwa imechemshwa, unakunywa mandizi na ni mzuri kukunywa hizo vitu zote. Alafu unasema hizi ndizi zitafanya kazi. These bananas will take place. They say if you take 3 eggs. There is a worker I had employed in my farm and he was eating 7 to 9 of my eggs, of the eggs from my chicken every day. Because he was HIV positive and somebody told him if you take 5 to 6 eggs, you will live, you get healed. So he cleared all the eggs. Now, if you put your faith in those eggs, then the eggs cannot heal you. But if you put your faith in what? I want you to camp here. Yeah, kneel down there and camp. Because if this is the throne room of God, your answer is where? So what are you supposed to do?
I'll
Camp where?
come from God.
Yes, camp before God. Put all your mind together. Muzzle all your faith. Put it in God. That is what gave Ezekiah 15 more years to live. He told God, you sent Prophet Isaiah to come and tell me to put my house in order because I'm going to die. I'm not refusing to die, but I also know that you are the giver of life. And I will sit here before you and remind you of what you have promised and what you have kept. I will remind you that until the answer comes. Guess what happened? As he sat before God, the angel was, the Lord said, okay. He told God, remember what I've done. Remember the righteous works that I've done. Remember what my faith have been strong in you. And he reminded God of everything that he has done. His testimony. He told God, before I die, I want you to read this. This is my record. God said, Isaiah, come back.